Welcome to a Psalm for today, where we are discussing education, training, mentoring, coaching. How much money do you think is spent in the United States alone on education every year? Everything from mom paying $100 for a soccer camp, all the way over to however much a Harvard education costs. I think it might be hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year are spent on education. And my question for this conversation is, as the person being educated, do you feel like we're getting our money's worth? I don't know. I'm not here to evaluate the educational system, but, for years I worked out at the Alaska Club East in Anchorage, Alaska. I would work out. And one day I noticed all of us were working out feverishly, and yet we were all in the same sorry shape we were when we started years ago. All that work and no gain. And I'm wondering if we might take a look at discipleship. The word disciple, was it mathetes, I believe, means learner. It's someone who learns and learns from a master craftsman, and a master apprentice model. And so the verse we've been investigating in Psalms is, show me your ways, Lord, teach me your paths, guide me in your truths. That's Psalm 25. I also like Psalm 32, when God replies, so to speak, I will instruct you. I will teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. So thank you, God, that you've promised to train us, coach us, counsel us, mentor us. I saw a card today on the back. It said, God is my co-pilot. I read that back in the 70s, I think, first time I saw it. And I'm still not sure that I want God to be my co-pilot. I'm pretty sure I want to sit in the back of the plane and let him fly the whole thing. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Proverbs 22:6, I think. There are various views of Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go. Let's talk about that part. If I understand correctly, the word should is not in the Hebrew, and the word train up a child is not in the Hebrew. I think the part that is kind of the translators try to make sense of it is the idea of open the child's mouth and give them a taste. Kind of like a breastfeeding mother with an infant. Give the child a taste in the way he goes. Now, there are several views of this. Some view it, I'm calling this view 2, some view it that if you train up a child according to his own way, like if you let a child go his own way, and you train the child according to his own way, then you're going to bump into some challenges. If you train him up according to his own foolish way, this would be a warning against permissive, unparented upbringing. So a warning, it's not a promise in that view. It's like, you train up a child in the way that he wants to go, you're going to have some trouble. Here's what one commentator said: start a child off according to his own foolish way, and sure enough, he won't depart from it when he's old. That's a caution, not a comfort. Okay, so that's a view. There's another view that says, train up a child according to his own way, meaning each child has a little different disposition, a little different personality, but we might say a little different learning style. They don't all come out the same way on the Myers-Briggs, and they don't all have the same disc model. And so second view is that if you train up a child according to his own personality, then it's not about the outcome, but it's more of a principle on how to teach. In other words, study each child closely and tailor instruct to who they are, not one size fits all. Then there is a third view, and the third view translates the word Hanak, it's used of dedicating a house in Deuteronomy, dedicating Solomon's temple. And so some people say that this is dedicate a child, sort of like in the idea of child baptism or child dedication, and that when you consecrate a child to God from the very beginning, the closer to a dedication baptismal act than a parenting technique. And the will not depart isn't a promise resting on parental skill, but on God's own faithfulness to what he has claimed. So that's the third view. The fourth view is the one that I hold, and that is train up a child in the way he should go is a principle and a pattern. It's not a rock solid promise. Proverbs, by definition, are patterns. And I believe that there's a pattern that when you do all of the components of training, whether it's modeling, I do, we do, you do, all these kinds of things, that this is a pattern for life. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. It is an indication of how quickly and deeply training gets into the child's brain, into the child's isness. And so we can look at the nature and character of the child. If you have identical twins raised the identical same way, one of them may depart from it. So this is not a promise, I think. I think it is a pattern. It is a principle of learning, actually, for adults as well. Some friends of mine have felt terrible that since their adult child departed from it, since their adult child departed from the path they trained them, that they somehow parented wrong. I don't think that's a fair dot to connect. You may have parented poorly, but I doubt it. My guess is you did a very thoughtful, thorough job in parenting your children. And so when we compare ourselves to God, the Ancient of Days, we're all children. We're all just young compared to the Ancient of Days. And the Ancient of Days says, I will instruct you, I will teach you in the way you should go, I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Notice some forms of Christian training is not based in love. When people heard that I was writing on the implementation and outcomes of trauma-informed practices in adult church services, they immediately began to tell me about their difficult educational experiences. Christian school, turns out, for many people was trauma school. And especially in a certain branch of Christianity, people give pretty negative reviews to their training. But notice the text says that God said, I will train you, I will educate you with my loving eye on you. And so we can peacefully rest in the fact that God is training us, that God is directing us, that God is showing us his way and his paths, and that we wouldn't, like in education, at least for me, I wanted to get a good grade. In my dissertation committee rated my dissertation 7 out of 10. And they said, all my peers say, you don't even care. Once you have your doctorate, you have your doctorate. Well, I wanted a 10 out of 10. I didn't want a 7 out of 10. But I'll blame it on a cognitive decline. Anyways, the point being, when we come to what it is we need to know, and who it is we need to know, and how we can actually know, we realize that there are things we need to know that can't be graded. There are things that we need to know that are more important than other things we want to know that sustain us through life. As I mentioned yesterday, knowing Jesus, knowing God, is far better than knowing calculus or trigonometry or physics. However, knowing God and trigonometry and calculus and physics can be a fabulous combo. So brothers and sisters, let us turn our hearts toward God and realize the patterns of God and ask Him that our families would align